obviously, I have thoughts on this. So, let's talk about this. So the directions here state that she had to write 650 words, and this is from a trans professor, by the way. The professor happened to be trans, okay? They asked to write 650 words, body of text, double-spaced reaction paper, demonstrating that they read the assigned article and includes a thoughtful reaction to a material presented in this article. Of course, they go down, points will be deducted, they don't follow like the directions and stuff. So there's that, okay? Now, this is what I want to highlight here. If you look at, sorry, I keep doing that, but if you look at, there are other possibilities. The best reaction paper illustrates that students have read the assigned materials and engage in critical thinking about some aspects of the article. Now, this is a reaction paper, but what she asked for was, does the paper show a clear tie-in in the assigned article? Does the paper present a thoughtful reaction or response to the article rather than a summary? And is the paper clearly written? But most of all, does this paper show an ounce of critical thinking? Also, did she back up anything in here with any kind of actual peer-reviewed article to back up her reaction? So here we have Samantha's essay, right? So she talks about how it was a very thought-provoking article and caused her to thoroughly evaluate the idea of gender and role as it plays in our society. And the article discussed peers using teasing as a way to enforce gender norms. Now, she says she doesn't see a problem with this, and then goes on to talk about the Bible, which, by the way, is not a peer-reviewed article. As a matter of fact, in most cases, it's a fairy tale because it is not a peer-reviewed journal article. While you can use, if you're writing about the Bible, I could see that they would use that as a form of research, but even then, they're going to ask for peer-reviewed journal articles. This person did not use that. She used a whole bunch of quotes about God and basically stated that God created. She went and talked about religion. Now, this is her reaction, and that I can see, you know. However, it really doesn't show an ounce of critical thinking, nor does it show any form of APA type of peer-reviewed article research regarding the article that she had to read. Let's go to page 2. You can pause to read page 1 if you like. Okay, so we are on page 2. And page 2 here states, sorry about that, can never get the green screen perfect. Page 2 states, it's frustrating to me when I read articles like this and the discussion posts from my classmates of so many people trying to conform to the same mundane opinion so they don't step on people's toes. I think that is cowardly and insincere. Okay, some people do that. It is important to use the freedom of speech we have been given. I get freedom of speech, but there are also consequences when you're working on a college paper and don't exactly follow any of the directions. She's talking about God's original plan, but there's no actual scientific evidence that that was the original plan. And here, many people assume the word helper, talking about created helper for a man, which is a woman. However, the original word in Hebrew, and she says, you know, because they talk about, you know, gender roles, gender norms per se, and she still goes on and basically preaches. That's what she did in this. She preached in this. She preached. She did not do any ounce of critical thinking. She preached. If she had, you know, she would have at least gotten some points if she put the actual research reference as to how she found out what it meant in Hebrew. Helper, I mean. I can never get this right. But yeah, so I guess I gotta move my head instead. So if you want to pause and read that, you can. Now here, you know, she continues. It's basically she continues to talk about the same shit. So here she says, I do not think men and women are pressured to be more masculine or feminine. I strongly disagree with the idea from the article that encouraging acceptance of diverse gender expressions could improve students' confidence. Society pushing the lie that there are multiple genders and everyone should be whatever they want to be is demonic and severely harms American youth. Okay, where is your actual APA form of research that college students should be putting there? Where's your reference for this? I honestly am beginning to think she wrote this article to purposely have this trans teacher put on leave. I think that she did this on purpose. And I think she knew that she would be supported because of a bunch of people at Turning Point who don't know how to critically think if you paid them. Here is the last page of it. So she goes, overall, reading the articles such as this one encouraged me to one day raise my children knowing that they have a heavenly Father who loves them and cherishes them deeply, and that having their identity firmly rooted in who he is will give them the satisfaction and acceptance, blah, 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 blah. This entire article, this entire paper that she wrote was basically shaming people. And I get it, because that's the reaction she had, right? And I will put this here so that way you can pause it and read it. But the truth is, not 1 ounce of research, not one reference was put into that. And instead, she just talked about the Bible, which, for all we know, is a book of fantasies. And it's not considered a peer-reviewed article to use for research. And this is why she flunked and got a 0 on her paper. Now, I've been to college. I did undergrad and I did grad school. And if you didn't even follow a freaking professor's template, you got like 10 to 20 points off because you didn't follow the template, use their template. So this professor was very, very, she was specific, or they were specific as to what they wanted in those directions. And yes, she got the reaction right. She did Samantha got the reaction right. She reacted, if you will. But she didn't know how to freaking back her shit up. And I think she knew this, and I think she took advantage of the dictator in office and all the people, all the transphobic people, or as I call them, transphobic predators that are popular. And Turning Point got wind of this, and now she's on Fox. Because you need another person to spread lies when they don't know a thing about gender at all, when they have never taken an advanced biology course in their lives, so they can't back up their shit. And so she got a 0. And honestly, I don't think that trans professor deserved to be put on leave. I think she needed to rewrite that fucking paper and at least back it up. I don't give a shit that she didn't like the trans community. I don't give a shit about that. My thing is, where's your backup? Where's your references? Because the Bible is not a fucking reference. Unless you're writing about the Bible. And at least reference the fucking Bible then. But it's not a good enough reference for a college paper and a reactionary paper. And, it's not. I've written many reactionary papers in college, and let me tell you, if I did not have a reference that was considered peer-reviewed, I wasn't going to get a good grade, okay? And this person clearly did not know how to write this paper correctly because they just repeated themselves 20 times over. We get it. You don't like trans people. You think they're an abomination. Okay, fine. I mean, not fine, but fine for you. That's your reaction, right? Now back that shit up with actual scientific proof. But instead, we coddle and enable bigots. And that's something we shouldn't do.